ASUS GeForce RTX 2060 Super Strix opinion. ASUS is back with the all too familiar Strix. The latest revision of the cooler has been applied, and as always it works well. You can go completely silent at the cost of a slightly higher temperature. It is that feature that makes the card stand out from others. This 8GB card rocks proper performance and is boosting to 1830 MHz right out of the box, yet weirdly enough that did not make it much faster. Fact is that the limiters like onboard power still will kick in and keep the card in line with its 175W TDP. Once you start to tweak and increase that power range, the performance quickly rises. Such variables are the same and defined by NVIDIA, ergo with a proper cooler, all card will perform roughly the same in their default baseline and tweaked, give or take a few FPS. That is the harsh reality as defined by NVIDIA these days. The build quality is top-notch in components. It shows a very clean PCB and the card has been reinforced with front and back plates. These cards serve you best at Full HD and WQHD resolution monitor ranges. And yes, that latter one is what we consider to be the new mainstream these days. At 1920 by 1080 and 2560 by 1440 or something close you'll see proper rendering game performance. At Full HD the RT and tensor cores will be pretty sufficient as well. At WQHD that will become more challenging, but that depends on the game title. The new bump to 8GB/256-bit memory is terrific here. And then another 256 shader processors bumped to 2176, combined with the new clock frequencies, will make sure that the end result seen from the regular 2060 is a significant performance boost. Most of my observations are based on the shader engine performance. You obviously pay more for the RT and tensor cores. But at $399 for the Founders Edition, we can only hope that ASUS isn't pricing the Strix too high. It's a good looking card, albeit, and I have mentioned this before, I do feel Strix is overdue for a design change. The factory tweak is really nice. It sits in the upper segment, was made a little darker to look at, and that works for me. The RGB lighting effects are funky to see. That LED inclusion that has been done subtly and can be configured in any manner you prefer with or async software, the choice is yours. While I always will remain skeptical about backplates, they potentially can trap heat and thus warm up the PCB, ASUS does have vents there. The flip side is that they can look better and can protect your PCB and components from damage and, well, they can look nice as they can have a certain aesthetic appeal. I have to admit, this is looking very nice but looks are always personal, of course. So in the end, on looks, you certainly get that premium feel of detailed aesthetics and quality. The card tops out at roughly only 58 degrees Celsius while gaming on performance mode while hitting 60–64 degrees in silent mode. There's a BIOS switch on board. So that's not bad at all. The acoustics hydrate as normal and silent. We doubt you'll ever hear the card once mounted into a chassis. We've heard no noticeable coil whine. But I do want to note that any graphics card at a high enough FPS can make some coil whine. Anything and everything is regulated by NVIDIA these days. Speaking, in general, you can expect another up to 10% of extra perf out of both cards when you bump up the graphics memory and GPU a bit. That it is, however, paired with an increased board power limiter and, as such, that will cost a bit more energy. Both traditional overclocking, as well as the aux scanner functions, bring us close to that value. In retrospect though, you have to remember that the older RTX models could also be tweaked to 15.516 Gbps on that GDDR6 memory.